Welcome to our preview of the Easter long weekend racing here in Melbourne, and it is Caulfield on both days with the Victoria Handicap and the Easter Cup, the two highlights of racing at Caulfield on Saturday. It's time again to welcome Steve Moran to RVTV. Fresh, and I mean fresh, back from Dubai. Flew in this morning, Steve. How's the jet lag?
Yeah, I'm struggling a bit, Andrew, but looking forward to what is it's one of the great weekends racing, really, isn't it, in Australia, with terrific action at Caulfield, of course, Oakbank in South Australia, and feature racing at Rose Hill in Sydney on the weekend. And we had a good time in Dubai, and it was fantastic to cheer on Hortensia. It's always that much more exciting when they win in that fashion, isn't it? She looked to be in a lot of trouble halfway, but Craig Williams found the best part of the track, and it was great to see her win.
And the two other horses we sent over there in a roundabout sort of way, Sea Point, Helmet.
Yeah, well, look, they were both disappointing. Karen McAvoy felt that Seat Boy didn't really let go on the track, and Helmet, I think you have to say, just really hasn't come up this time in, and that was disappointing, but Hortensia carried the flag, and that was fantastic.
All right, well, let's take a look at the Caulfield program for Saturday, and you've come up with your two selections, or your two races for the Easter Cup and the Victoria Handicap. First up, the Easter Cup, Shawan.
Yeah, there's two terrific feature races, great depth in both of them, in fact, terrific depth in the latter half of the program at Caulfield. It might be a bit tough to find a winner. It might be a fairly wide quaddie. Look, I'm going with Shawan in the Easter Cup despite the top weight, despite the fact that he's second up and jumping from 1,400 metres. I think he's clearly the best horse in the race. He does come to hand quickly. He's got a record of doing that in past preparations. Looks to be reasonable speed. On what looks a very tough day, I think we can narrow the Easter Cup down to probably 3 or 4. You can't ignore Dance With Her, who's drawn for the run of the race again, had 2 runs this time in and has won both in very good fashion, so she's certainly a legitimate hope. I think along with Lucky 88, who will get the run of the race from the inside gate and is looking for a drier track, and perhaps the one who'll be swooping home with Shawan is Folding Gear. So I'd be pretty comfortable with those 4 in the quaddie, which may not sound like I'm narrowing it down too much, but when you have a good look at these fields, it's going to be a tough assignment to narrow any of these down too much.
Well, that's the first of the Group 3s on Saturday. The second of the Group 3s is, of course, the Victoria Handicap. A horse you've tipped us before, and you're going with it again, testing my patience.
Yes, let's hope he's not testing anyone's, including mine. Interesting race. There's a stack of speed, high speed, and then there's a complication for 3 or 4 of the obvious hopes drawn off the track under the Eiffel, the one who springs to mind most. So in the end, I thought the likely winner of this race is something who's probably just well drawn, camped off the speed. And I think the 2 likely candidates are Test of My Patience and Smoke and Joey from their favourable gates. Test of My Patience, wouldn't worry too much about the first up run. He had a pretty tough assignment. Craig knew it didn't punish him when it was obvious he couldn't win. This is a far more suitable contest, and Smoke and Joey looks to have learned how to win now, doesn't he? Put 2 together, I think it'll be hard to beat. I think a gripper might be over the odds, just keeps running cracking races in these, and under the Eiffel, had he drawn well, he probably would have been my top pick.
Interesting too that Glenn Boss is riding both your selections in the 2 features. Hasn't ridden in Melbourne or anywhere else apart from Golden Slipper Day since 1993. Only twice he's missed that meeting. So we normally see him up in Sydney. This week he's got a full book of rides in Melbourne. So Glenn Boss, a jockey to watch, no doubt. What about your best bet for the whole program? The form guide will say it's been trained by Kavanagh, not Mark. Sam?
Yes, Elizan Thunder. I think she'll win the first. Maybe we can jump out of the gates. I don't think she'll be ridiculously short. Very solid performance first up in the listed race in Adelaide. I think she's too good for these, Elizan Thunder.
And the claim for Chad Schofield will certainly help there as well. What about an each way and a roughie for the program, Steve?
I thought the best each way was race 4, number 2, Cash Bound. 2 runs back, wants the 1,400. Plenty of speed in the race. Favourably drawn, pretty keen. Cash Bound, race 4, number 2.
And the roughie?
Roughie, race 5, number 11, Specific, who resumes in this very hot sprint race where there is a stack of pressure. Look, she's probably ideally suited on tracks with a fraction of give, but I think fresh and with the speed in the race, and she'll be fairly good odds. She might be worth having something on race 5, number 11.
We're going to let you go and get some well-earned sleep.
You're not going to give me a question without notice about Sydney this weekend.
Not at all.
It's a fantastic meeting.
Samaretti wins the slipper?
Samaretti wins the slipper. I think she will. Forget the nonsense about, bounding away and courts are going back that far for a Blue Diamond double. We've seen Miss Finland, of course, and Crystal Lily beaten in the Blue Diamond. Go to Sydney and win the slipper. She'll win the slipper, Samaretti.
And good luck to Mick Price and Craig Newitt with Samaretti. Thanks, Steve, from Best Bets.
Terrific. Thanks, Andrew.
And that is our preview of racing at Caulfield for this really big Easter weekend of racing.